Wellness Show, episode number 383.
Welcome to the Wellness Show, a podcast on health and wealth. I'm your host, Tyson Bannigan, the founder of the Extraordinary Healing Arts Academy. Join me as we get the latest insight, tips, and strategies from wellness providers, coaches, and successful, heart-centered entrepreneurs, and much, much more. And Enlightenment. And I'm your host, Tyson Bannigan, and my co-host, Laura Kuhl, and we're here with you for the next hour to answer all your questions on dowsing and energy healing, help you get you from where you are to where you want to be in the shortest amount of time. So if something's in your way, then we're the people that can help you get out of your own way. So the topic today is ending stones and sacred sites this Wednesday.
Yeah.
And yesterday, we had those that wanted a reading from Laura, and so if you feel that you missed out and you're upset about that, I'm sure we can squeeze you in the midst of sacred sites and standing stones. So if you really want to have a session with Laura to have you get back on track, then you can phone in as well, toll free North America, 1-866-369-7464. And to kick the show off, we're going to show some pictures of standing stones, which of course I can't see, but Michael can see in the back, and he'll have it up for them. So in the left-hand corner is, if it's already up, is of course the famous Stonehenge. The Stonehenge is like a giant calendar in the landscape. It is used for ceremonial purposes for the spring and summer equinoxes and the spring and the summer and the spring and summer equinoxes and the solstices. So it's like a giant calendar in the landscape. And so why would anybody want a giant calendar in the landscape? You have any idea, Laura? Why would anybody want a giant calendar in the landscape?
Probably because we didn't have paper mills, and so we had to have something to tell us where we were. Time is elusive, right? So you're probably trying to focus it more and more.
Yeah, the most important thing is, when do we need to plant our crops? So really that's all. And when do we need to harvest, right? Because if you don't have a calendar, then how do you know what's the right time, right? So if you know when the equinox is and the solstice and the spring's, solstice, then you know that it's time to plant. And you can do this according to how the sun comes up over the horizon. So you'll see that with the standing stones, the one that will mark the direct line when the sun comes over the horizon, it will come to the main stone and then shine on the altar or whatever it is that they want. Now you'll find a stone for each one of the 4 quarters of as we go from spring all the way through the seasons back to winter. So there'll be one of all those crosses will be in the standing stones, right? So standing stones are erected for various purposes. So for example, my friend Ivan Macbeth, and this is his book, Ivan Macbeth. He is a wizard and he's a druid. He actually started a course for druids. We've got an echo, Michael. You've got us. I'm hearing myself, which is scary. I've got voices in my head. That's all right. Well, I mean, just hearing myself talk to myself is scary. I thought I was channeling myself for a minute. I didn't know whether I was dead or alive. But anyway, back on course here with Ivan Macbeth. I loved Ivan Macbeth. He's on the other side now, probably erecting standing stones in God's heaven. But yeah, he was an amazing dude. He's a big guy, had a very big top hat on. And he was as big as me, maybe about 300 pounds. And the thing I loved about him is when he walked into the room to do a presentation for us, my friend Maggie leaned over me and says, he went to Central Casting and they chose the one that looks exactly like a druid, because when he came in, he did look like a druid. Flowing cape, top hat, and what I loved best about him was purple nail polish.
Oh my.
I have to say, as a big guy, I haven't got quite to the point of doing purple nail polish, although I thought about it. I really liked his purple nail polish. it was pretty unique to have a 6'4", 300-pound dude with purple nail polish. Anyway, he was a real character. I loved him dearly. And I realized very quickly that I must have been a druid in a past life because we hit it off so much. So he would build standing stones for people. He would do standing stone circles. And one of them he did it for a rock star. And I think it was actually commissioned by his wife when he died. And so she wanted to do a memorial for him as standing stone. So that was set up where the central sun, or the sun coming through and hitting the stone, was on the day of his birth and on the day of his death, right? So that whole wheel was to honor him in the landscape as a memorial of his birth and his death. So what I'm getting at is you can set up standing stones for certain purposes and certain reasons to commemorate or to remember the cycle that you want to be part of. Yeah.
That'd be like on the beaches, where they put stones on top of each other. Is that erected? Is that what that means?
No, that's just having fun. That's just learning how to balance things, right?
Oh, is that? I never knew what those were for.
Yeah, so that's just learning how to balance, how to stay in balance, which is a great thing to do. I've seen them do bridges across, in a stream that's flowing, and it'll actually create an arc. So yeah, I have a friend in Vancouver who does that. I don't know what he's doing in the COVID days, but he would be on the beach and he'd actually get donations. That's how he made his livelihood, by doing those stone sculptures. And that was his fun. He'd get to talk to people from all over the world and do this. And people would come up to him, take photos and ask him what he was doing. And he'd explain it and get to talk to people. Yeah, it was his way to interact and be out in nature and play with rocks, right?
Cool.
So, yeah. So standing stones, creating standing stones. And of course, there's all sorts of reasons why you would do that. So if you go to an ancient site, and you can see pictures there of ancient sites in the landscape, these are ones that go back in time immemorial. Most indigenous people in the landscape do not have a memory of when they were created. So they're like prehistory, let's call it that way, prehistory as we know it. And the beauty of this is there's standing stones everywhere on the planet. So this technology of communing with the stars in the heavens, and the rising and setting of the sun and the moon cycle is something that our ancestors were tracking since man first arrived on the planet. And so that's what we were talking about the day before, which was holistic astrology and being able to do shamanic astrology, which is what's happening in the sky. Well, then this became the calendar on the ground. In other words, it's a replica of what's happening in the sky, so you can understand it and interpret it as a calendar here on this plane. So for example, in a medicine wheel, there's a medicine wheel here in Canada, and it is called Canada's Stonehenge. And here's the book on it. And it's really an interesting experience because in this landscape, this fellow who did it, his name is Gordon Freeman. I don't know how his wife put up with him. I guess she must have loved him, because they would go out and take photos at different times in the middle of the winter in a camper, so that he could take the photos in the landscape and track how this works in the landscape. And so here's the layout. I don't know if you can see that. There's the layout of all the stones in the circle with all the...
Put it up a little bit closer. We might not be able to see your beautiful face, but is it on the right or the left?
Well, both of them. One is, one of them is every single stone, and here is the main stones over here, interpreted over on this side, right? And you can see that he's got them described here as, the west, the north, the great south, and the east. And so this has been going on for millennia. So as the sun rises and sets, it moves, right? And so those points would change in the landscape. So by following those stones and understanding them, you can actually go back in time and know what the cycles in the heavens was all about. What were the star maps and what was happening? And you would be able to see the procession of the ages, literally, in the stone wheel.
That's cool.
Yeah, very, very cool. See if I can find a picture of him. And like I said, they would go out in the middle of and do this, him and his wife. So she must have really loved him. That's all I can say.
Maybe they enjoyed it doing and being together.
They must have, she must have been bitten by the bug too, right?
Don't make me go anywhere where it's cold. I would not be happy.
Right. So, for example, here's what it looks like when the sun comes through the main pillars in a standing circle, right? So you can see the sun rising.
Or is that in Europe?
This one is zoom of the sun in the white winter solstice sun sightline 4,000 years ago, seen from the bank near Albury Hole, and so that would be in England. Okay, 8 minutes after sunrise, the position of the winter solstice first flash on the horizon 4,000 years ago is marked. Okay, 4,000 years ago is marked.
Okay.
So yeah, this is obviously from the standing stones in England, right?
Mm-hmm.
Stonehenge, but these are like giant calendars in the landscape, and very exciting. So each stone like this, these are like tons, like huge, like a human being might be as high as my finger there, depending on the stone, right?
Wow.
These are huge, and erecting them, you'd have to get like at least a third of them in the ground, right, in order to stand them upright. And you'd have to also transport them to get them there. And each stone in a stone circle has a certain function. And so it was a ceremonial site where people would come, particularly women would come to ease their childbirth or come for fertility or come for, so what I'm saying is different stones had different energy in the paramagnetics of the stone, which is really the crystalline structure in the stone carries the energy of the original intention of why the stone was erected by those that erected. They literally activated the stone with intention. So there might be a stone that helped with birthing, and there might be another stone that helped with healing. There might be a stone that doing different things. And so if you go to a standing stone and you have, L rods or you have a pendulum, you can discover which stone would be appropriate for you at this particular time in your own spiritual evolution. What would be the vibrational frequency that would be best for you to upgrade yourself to? Or which would be the standing stone that would clear whatever the trauma is that you have, if you were going through a dark period, how could that stone then help you do that? So all these stones were like almost standing medicine men in the landscape, right?
Awesome. So if we were to douse right now, like which stone would be best for us? Could you do that?
Yeah, well, we'd have to know which site we're going to, and we'd have to know which stones are in that particular circle, right? So
Okay.
that's really something that you would want to do in person. However, a picture of a sacred site, you could do that, and you could still use the picture. There's no reason why you can't. A picture is like an artifact to see if you could have the energy transmitted from that stone to you. So there's different ways in which things have been done. So, for example, in my landscape here in the front yard, and if we had the camera set up, we could show you that I have a medicine wheel right where Michael is doing the back end. Right below where he's sitting is a medicine wheel. And it's called a Mayan Morning Star wheel, but it's also an angel wheel. So not only is it connected to the Mayan tradition, to the directions for ceremony, but it also has a wing. So the stones are laid like two wings, and therefore you can connect with angels, right? So, for example, some stone circles were created so that each stone represented one of the guardian angels or one of the major angels that you could go to. So you could go to this stone and talk to Gabrielle, and this stone to talk to Archangel Michael. And then you could douse which one you needed to talk to at which time for what reason.
So that's in your backyard?
Yeah.
Can we see it?
Well, I can't see it because Michael's busy doing what he's doing, right? But we can show you a picture, right? At some point.
Yeah.
Actually, any picture that you see of the front garden, usually you'll be able to see the stone circle. It's the porch is here, and then the stone circle is in front of it, and then there's a garden, and then there's the lake. So, and that's set up as a broadcasting center. Energies on a ley line that broadcasts the intention of doing ceremony to Mount Ida, and then Mount Ida is an ancient volcano, which is like a dragon in the landscape, and then she broadcasts that out globally. So it's like having our own radio station of energy when we do ceremony. And so in this particular holon or bioregion where we live, which is by the way, so this is all the things you're going to learn if you join us in the geomantic boots on the ground course. You learn all of this stuff, right? How to do this and why to do it, and how to work with the landscape diva and the landscape angel, and why it's important, and how the land breathes. It has organs like a human body, and what are the functions in the landscape, and how do you align with that? So for example, Mount Iden is the dragon, or she's like the Sphinx, or maybe even the Great Pyramid. She's the evolutionary cycle that elementals go through as they graduate off this earth plane and go into the next dimension. So it's like a place of sanctuary where you receive upper level teachings in Mount Ida. So when the ley line from our medicine wheel is connected to Mount Ida, that broadcasting is such that because we live here, we're one of 32 centers for North America. So what does that mean? It means there's 32 sites like where we live, bioregions, that are all interconnected to the heart chakra of North America.
Am I in that?
I don't know whether you are. We'll have to do your homework to figure that out.
Am I
So
gonna find that out in geomancy?
yeah, so when you do ceremony here in the heart chakra, and then it reverberates from this heart chakra to the heart chakra of North America. So we get to talk directly to North American heart chakra. And so as we boost our energy, we boost the continental, and that also then upgrades everybody on the continent of North America, on the back of Turtle Island. So it's like, again, the whole concept as above, so below, or nested one within the other. So when you do ceremony here, you're actually doing it and broadcasting it out. So yeah, I would say that you have sacred sites where you are. I would think that they would be medicine wheels. So I would do Google search for medicine wheels in and around where you live. Then I would go to those medicine wheels and I would sit there and I would figure it out. And now somebody would already done the research, most likely on them. And so that you would want to then connect with that. Then you would then want to do ceremony in your backyard and make a connection in a ley line or energy line from your backyard to that medicine wheel, and that medicine wheel then would broadcast out to the landscape, right?
Okay, now my father was from Lake Mills, Wisconsin, which is like 20 minutes south from my house, or west from my southwest. And regardless, they have pyramids in Rock Lake or Stone Lake. It's some rock or Stone Lake, I don't know, but there's pyramids under there. And that's where my grandmother Yurtsik, who was the first generation healer that I descend from. And so when you were saying that, I'm like, I wonder if that's why.
Yeah, and the answer is yes.
Why? What?
Go ahead, finish what you're saying. The answer is yes.
Yeah, if that's why, like, she went there and my dad grew up there, and like,
there's a direct connection between that place in the landscape and your ancestors' gifts. Want me to say that again?
Yeah.
A direct connection to that place in the landscape and the function of that place in the landscape and your psychic ability of your ancestors.
So do I tap into that? Like, would that be?
Absolutely. If you physically went there, sat in communion, you would receive a massive upgrade. Of course you would.
I would. Okay. I would. Okay.
Absolutely. You see, because, when we talk about astrology, when we talk about the energies, it's really that we are a walking vibrational frequency of star energy, because we are star energy on the physical plane. So when we incarnated from the stars, if you want to describe it that way, the point we incarnated in, where we were in the time, is relevant to the path that we trace on the face of the earth. And Grandma Sasa, when we visited her, and she's part of the Eastern Gateway when I was back in New Hampshire, she said, if you take every place that you visited and traveled to and take a map and you put a prick through the points that you traveled and you turn the map over and you hold it up to the light, that's the star nation you came from. So what she's saying is you cannot help but trace that path of where you came from on the earth plane. So think about this. You take the 3 pyramids of Giza, right? And you then look at what's in the stars, you have Orion's belt. So everything that is on the earth plane that's been done as a sacred, ceremonial site is describing a relationship in the stars. So many of the First Nations describe their medicine wheel like their telephone or their hotline back to the star nation that they're from. That's where they could commune with their ancestors, because it's connecting them through in stone, in vibrational frequencies, replicating the energy of their home planet, right? So it allows them to step into that energy, like stepping into sacred space, because you're doing ceremony, you're getting out of your conscious mind, you're getting into that sacred space, and when you're in the vibration of that medicine wheel, which is in harmony with where you came from, you're in direct communion with your ancestors. Pretty cool, eh?
That's very cool. Someone has posted something a lot here.
All right. So.
Oz.
Yeah.
She says nodes occur when there are specific overlap of 3 human conscious grids. Gaia, as the Gaia grid, has a field apart from the crystalline, and when the crystalline grid overlaps with Gaia in certain attributes, there's a buildup of energy that creates a node. There are 3 kinds of nodes: portal, vortex, and vortal. A portal is a node that overlaps and amplifies Gaia, which is Earth.
Yeah.
She goes on, and this is a lot. There's a lot here. A lot.
Well, she should be in our geomancy course, because that sort of knowledge, she'll add a lot to the course, and she'll learn a lot as well. So, so the question is...
Chiron, actually. She posted it from Chiron.
Okay, well, then Chiron knows a lot, but if she wants to know what Chiron knows and how to put that into practice, that would be amazing. So the geomantic course would be really something that would benefit her.
Well, I'd like to know how to place where I live to Lake Mills, those pyramids there, to connect with that. You know what I'm saying? So I don't actually have to go there, that I can just link the energy up to my house.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it would take some doing, but I could help you do that. Absolutely. And being guided intuitively, you would know. So for example, every stone in our medicine wheel has come from a sacred place. So my medicine wheel here, or our medicine wheel, it's not my medicine wheel, our medicine wheel, I wanted to bring the energy of the rivers of British Columbia, not all of them, but some of them that are important to me. So I would go to the confluence of the river where the 2 rivers came together, and I'd find a stone that would then become part of the medicine wheel. So my stones have the energy of the confluence of rivers that are important to me, that set up my medicine wheel. And then the pattern of the medicine wheel is according to a pattern of the Mayan morning star wheel and the angel wheel, because I have certain functions that I want to do it, and I'm trained as a Mayan shaman. So I want that Mayan connection, right? Because that's the ceremonial way that I've been taught, right? I haven't been taught by the First Nations how to do medicine wheel ceremonies here. I've been taught by the Mayans how to do it there. So that gives me my lineage, or my spiritual training allows me then to use what I know in this landscape to connect to the greater landscape. So the interesting thing in working with Ivan and doing standing stones, as he would say, I would dowse for where there was a crossing of the energy of 2 water lines, and that's where I would choose to create standing stones, of course, it'd be according to the client's needs as well.
I wonder why in Lake Mills those pyramids got buried under. I suppose if it's water, right? That, like what you just said, maybe if they put the stones there and then the water got higher and higher and higher.
Yeah, if you go to Atlan in Guatemala, is it Guatemala? Yeah, I think it's Guatemala in Atlan, Lake Atlan. There are literally a whole civilization at the bottom of the lake, because water comes and goes and land sinks and falls. So many of the ancient civilizations, for example, there's ruins off the coast of Japan, and everywhere in the world, in the Bermuda Triangle, there's pyramids. So there's pyramids and geometrical structures for sacred purposes everywhere on the planet, and a lot of them have been submerged because of the continents rising and falling. I mean, we're not the only, we're not the first rodeo here on planet Earth.
Right.
We're rather new, and in fact, our arrogance is really quite amazing that we think that history began and started with what we can remember. Hell no, it goes way, way, way back. We're talking about the technology that raises stones. I don't know if there's any pictures of Cusco that are in that. I can't remember what Michael put up there, but if you look at the stones in Cusco, and by the way, we're getting to work with somebody in the geomancy. He's from Lima, which is really great, from Peru. So we're getting that. He's going to be doing geomantic mapping in Cusco, which I'm excited about. He's going to find out how that center works for him. We're talking about standing stones there. One stone itself is like 20, 30, 40. I don't want to exaggerate, but we're talking about tons and tons and tons. How did they move that stone and get it there? And how did they make the joint that you can't even slip a piece of paper between it, right? So we're talking about technology that we, even with the biggest cranes we have in laser, this and laser that and whatever, we can't even get anywhere close to it. And so if we want to be the big kid on the block and say, hey, well, we know what we know and we're the greatest. No, you don't have a clue. I mean, we're just like in diapers. I don't even know if we're in diapers.
I just want to say I mean, people are drinking Diet Coke and eating Slim Jims. Come on.
Yeah, so moving on. So we have medicine wheels in the Canadian landscape and in your landscape, most likely, but there are standing stones as well. But they're a little bit different. And actually in your area, I don't know if in your area there may be actually Mayan ruins too, because the Mayans came north as well and did ceremony. Certainly through the Mississippi Valley they did for sure. So I know that there's ruins, and Mayans still come for ceremonial purposes to these sites. So for example, the serpent mounds, which are in the Mississippi culture, right? Which is, by the way, the turtle logo in the academy is from the serpent mounds, right?
Oh.
That logo is on a coin from the serpent mounds. And an executive director for Turtle Island Earth Stewards was at the serpent mound, and somebody walked up to her and said, this is yours. And she gave her the coin, and we were looking for the symbol for Turtle Island Earth Stewards, and there on the coin was the symbol we used of the turtle. This is how amazing that is. And then I ask you, if this culture is 10,000, 12,000, whatever years, how did they mint a coin? How did they know how to do that, right? How did they create a coin with a turtle on the back of it?
This is not the first world. Egypt was the beginning of this world, but...
Well, it's the beginning of what we remember, but it's a remnant from Atlantis. And so is the Mayan culture, by the way.
Atlantis being discovered like last January off the coast of Cuba.
Everybody's discovering Atlantis here, there, and everywhere.
Well, it's not just off, but it's in the Caribbean, right? It's much bigger than what they're just saying. It's not just off Cuba. I mean, that's just one part of Atlantis, but it is coming up, and it is. I mean, it's there.
Yeah, absolutely. There's ruins there. I mean, off the the triangle, where the planes get lost, right?
Bermuda Triangle.
There is a huge pyramid underground that they've actually been able to take artifacts from. So there's a huge pyramid there, and certainly Hawaii is the remnants of the volcanoes that were once part of Liberia. So, you
Yeah.
know, and that's the legend of Turtle Island. This has happened before. It can happen again if we don't become earth stewards in the back of this giant turtle, which is a continent, and take care of her. She will sink beneath the sea, and we get to do it all over again. And here we are at the same crossroads yet again. And, do we want to put our gum and make it, and it's only 40 days and 40 nights? Or do we want to get on our aqua suit? Or do we want to become earth stewards and change the way that things show up?
That it wasn't going to be water this time, that it was going to be fire.
Well, water quenches fire. I mean, it's sort of like, when you want to do paper, scissors, rocks, they're all interrelated, right?
Let's do it, baby. What do you want to do? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to play that game, right?
Yeah, we're just trying to figure it out and make sense of what it is that has been placed here. But in a million years, when they look back and they see the McDonald's arches, what the hell do you think?
Oh, they'll be rotted. They'll be gone. That plastic won't last. All right, so let's move on. I want to talk a little bit about what else was in the landscape. This is an amazing book. This is called Stone Age Farming. This is Stone Age Farming. And the reason I'm bringing this up is this is Alana Moore. She's a dowser from Australia. And this is her book talking about why would they be erecting standing stones and what does that have to do with agriculture. So this is a pillar of energy, right? With paramagnetic earth in the center of it, coming down, bringing the sky energy or the electrical energy from the lightning, right? And repregnating. So this is the divine marriage of heaven and earth. So I'm talking about right here, the Stone Age Farming. This is a book by Alana Moore. She's Australian. And the function of this in the landscape was to make the connection between heaven and earth. So when we talked about the divine marriage, we talked about impregnating the earth or the seed from the masculine male, which would be the lightning bolt or the cosmic energy coming down and being grounded into the earth, which would be the womb, right? And that impregnation would cause the crops to then be activated, the seed to be activated and to grow. Also, the negative part of it is, or not necessarily negative, but the other way that it would be used is you could store grains and other things in here. And because it was like a 0 point between heaven and earth, then the product wouldn't decay. So you could have grain or potatoes or whatever stored in here, and it would be a neutral zone where decay wouldn't happen. So this is like a giant penis in the landscape, bringing in cosmic energy, right? And so the standing stones were done like that. So you could find a line of standing stones that would lead to a standing circle through the landscape, which would be like weaving the energy across the landscape and impregnating the energy from the standing stones through the landscape and impregnating the earth with the energy for the crops to grow. So that would bring plenticity and abundance to the earth. So this is why Stone Age farming is the connection between standing stones and sacred sites in the landscape is a way of which to bring fertility into the landscape and ensure that you had a harvest that was good to be able to support you in the community. They also have said that when there's standing stones that are interconnected in the landscape, that you could actually travel on them. Now that's just pretty spooky, but you could literally, because a standing stone is that divine marriage between masculine and feminine. There's going to be a null point or a 0 point in that stone. And when you attune to that, you become one with that null point or the 0 point inside of yourself, then as Don Juan says with Carlos Castaneda, where do you want to wake up? Or where do you want to reappear? Which standing stone in that line do you want to remanifest yourself?
I understand. Okay.
Pretty cool, eh?
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Because one of the listeners asks, could these be portals of transportation or
Absolutely.
in and out? Right. So
and absolutely, they're if you activate in a circle of in a group, and we've done this before, and you activate a Merkaba, you created an interdimensional vehicle, a starship, a UFO, or however you want to describe it, where you can visit your home planet.
Yeah, I've done that.
Yeah, and well, one of the fun things that we were doing is we were doing these in a group of about 20 people in meditation in seminar. And sometimes when you activate it's like the ship, it gets a bit bumpy, before you get the energy in sync.
Okay.
And so it got really bumpy, and some of the people got up and left, but it was just the train going by. It was shaking the building. It wasn't really anything other than the vibration of the train. But people went, "Whoa, this is too scary. I'm out of here." Right. So sometimes it's trying to get the energy balance for the Merkaba before you literally lift off. And then it's really good to have an interdimensional navigator, because usually you're on a mission. So sometimes we go and we're being sent to various places to do. Mostly it's usually like we do here as a ground crew on planet Earth. It usually has to do with trapped souls, like some civilization that's trapped in some dimensional reality that can't free themselves because they don't have the energy to do it, or they need some outside energy to be able to do that. So we sometimes send on missions to actually help certain groups of people evolve or get out of the more negative UFO bases that are used for mind control and for genetics experiments with humans, and crossbreeding, and free those people there. It's not my favorite thing to do because it can get a bit scary, and you don't want to get scary because fear opens the door for you to have to deal with possession, right? But it is important work to be done, and it does take a group, particularly ideally 12 or more around one, to do this work, to do interventional work that you're called to do. So that's a bit about that. And then Alana Moore wrote another book, which is really, really good here, and it's Divining Earth's Spirits, right? Working in the landscape and understanding how those energies flow through the earth and how to work with them. So, for example, one of the things we're doing in the geomancy course with Boots on the Ground is we're learning about, certainly the person who's joining us from Peru wants to know about geopathic stress caught in the energy lines of the earth or in the crystalline structure that adversely affects humans. So this little booklet, it's available at the Wellness Store, www.thewellnessstore.ca. It's all of $5. And it talks about geopathic stress, which is human trapped emotion that's locked into the energy lines in the earth. And that trapped human emotion can have an adverse effect on the people that live on and particularly sleep on that energy line. So if you're on a negative energy line for an extended period of time, the more time you spend on the line, the more a negative impact it has on you. So this is research that's been put together, a research on 11,000 people in more than 3,000 apartments, houses, and workplace in 14 countries. And this is how geopathic disturbances affect sleep, health, and school performance. And simple ways to identify and overcome noxious earth energies, which are harmful effects on health, such as cancer, allergies, arthritis, insomnia, learning disabilities, and many other diseases. So what they found in Europe is if they travel along one of these lines that they've dowsed and found that this is a negative energy or geopathic stress line, they can go from house to house and they can then interview the people, and they'll find that they'll say it has heart cancer, they'll find heart cancer all the way along this line.
Yeah.
Okay. And why do we want to know that? Because as geomancers, as dowsers, we can clean that up, right? We can remove the trapped energy, no different than removing, disincarnate beings to the light. There's no reason why we can't clear the energy trapped in the ley lines and and transform it into pure divine light, which then brings healing energy to all the people on that line, right?
Yeah.
So these adverse effects, geopathic stress, happen wherever there's been a crime committed, there's been a murder, rape, pillage, sexual abuse, crimes against nature, curses, all of those things or even, incantations where, spirits have been trapped into the earth and bound up.
Mm-hmm.
Really scary stuff. And some people, in some traditions and cultures, particularly in Eastern Europe, have that ability to do that. These curses are multi-intergenerational. Rather than resolve the dilemma in a family, you just go to some witch doctor, or, in Africa, it would be, voodoo, and you just have a curse put on that person, which can, literally stop them in their tracks. So part of our work as geomancers and dowsers is to work with clients to clear them from the curses and to free out that energy from the land. So, because what it means is that, if a crime has been committed, so if you go to, particularly go to the Middle East, where we have, what's going on between Palestine and Israel, for example, I'll just use that as an example. And that, so generation after generation has gone through trauma. And we know that trauma is going to, trauma in this generation can go forward and back, 6 generations back and 7 generations in the future. So that retribution is always going to be there with the children that are born. They're always going to feel that retribution is the only way to resolve this, when in actual fact, the only way to do this is come to peace with it, is to love each other and know that we are all one.
Yes.
But nobody teaches that. So that recurring cycle happens over and over again.
Say that again. That's so important.
Yeah, that if the trauma happens in a culture, that it's going to go back through the generations and forward through the generations. And so they're going to be born into the belief that retribution is the only way to resolve the dilemma of abuse. Now, what happens is when you're abused, whether it's sexually or verbally or whatever, whether that's your culture, your tradition, or your family, invariably the abuser, the one that's abused in the next generation, becomes the abuser. It's like a horrific cycle that, if you don't deal with underlying trauma, will repeat itself over and over and over again. We see this in Africa. We see this time and time again, where the liberation movement, the person coming from a really heart-centered place to free their country from a dictatorship or from a despot, and then they come into power, but the whole addiction of what it is to be in power, they become the despot, they become the victimizer themselves. And so this is why government is such a deadly concept, right? If government is for the protection of a few, to have advantage over the others, like the 1% or whatever percentage you want, then there's always going to be those that are underprivileged that will be petitioning the courts and government to have their power. But the trouble is, they put them in. So, for example, if it's the workers wanting to unite through unions, and the union is a political party, and they come into power, then what they're trying to do is get their piece of the pie. But the only way they can get the piece of the pie is by disallowing other people to get their piece of the pie. Do you see what I'm saying? So that the restitution or the equilibrium in the ruling of the people never gets resolved, because the fundamental principle is it has to be, as in the Constitution of life and liberty, in the Constitution of the United States, is for every person. It doesn't mean one person has a divine right over the other. And when you do that, when you give a certain amount of power to a certain group of people, they're going to take advantage of it, and they're going to think it's their God-given right. So this is really, really important. This abuse happens in our culture. Never mind, Black Lives Matter. This is really serious stuff. This is an addictive cycle that cannot be resolved until we give equality to every human being in a nation state as equal rights. I don't care if you're black, white, pink, orange, multicolored, rainbow, or whatever. If you don't have equal rights through government, then you're going to be petitioning for your rights at the expense of somebody else. Okay?
And can I just bring up the fact that, like, I've talked to people about how doctors talk to them now. I haven't been to a Western doctor in 20 years, so it's not coming from me, it's coming from other people. Where they say, I have to get permission from my doctor in order to make changes in my care. And I'm like, it's taken me aback because I don't understand that thought process of somebody overruling your health and your body and yourself. Because I feel like I'm a sovereign, well, I know I'm a sovereign human being. I make all the decisions for myself for me. I think that that's the same mindset of as giving up rights to government.
Yeah, absolutely.
And wearing masks, and you brought this up in a different show, wearing masks is a form of submission. I won't do it. I won't do it.
It was interesting. I was listening to an interview of a doctor, very wise doctor, yesterday. I didn't finish the interview. What she is saying, you know, again, people wear masks when they feel that they've done a crime and they don't want people to see their face. So, you know, what message are you saying when you put a mask on? Is it that you don't want to be seen for who you are? You can't read another person's face with their mask on. You can't. All of your intuitive abilities to know whether that person is safe to be with or not be is eradicated by the mask. So why are we creating that? And think about this. Why are you running around with a mask on saying, I can't breathe, I can't breathe? Why are you giving yourself, you know, if you're creating a world that you live in and you're running around saying, I can't breathe, guess what? You can't breathe, right?
And they don't even understand the intention behind all of this.
This is what I mean, that they are giving away their divine right of being able to be revitalized by their breath because they keep saying, I can't breathe, I can't breathe. And they have a mask on that they can't breathe with properly anyway. So now they have a double problem and they're making themselves sick. And they don't even understand that. So anyway, sorry for all those people that don't understand this.
We digress, but it
is it is, you know, you can use geomancy, you can use sacred structure in the landscape to liberate people, and you can use sacred structure to bind people. And so if you go to Washington, D.C., for example, you're going to have a layout of a capital city according to a geomancy and to sacred design. It's the star, it's the five-pointed star there, which is the path that Venus scribes as she goes around Earth. It's the orbit, and it makes. Now, if you turn that over, you have the symbol of what's used in the coven.
Right.
So what I'm trying to say is every power symbol, every technology of transformation can be either used for positive or negative.
Above, so below, always.
Yeah. And
that's where, like, the what do you call those? The people that a lot of them that do the conspiracy theorists will turn what is good over and make it bad and say that it's bad when in actuality it was created for good. There's words that there's a C word that I couldn't possibly ever use on this show, but it used to be back in the day a very good word for people who were spiritualists. And there's the Nazi symbol, which is so horrible in one sense. On the other sense, is so beautiful. It's everything has good and bad. My main guide looks like a KKK member, but KKK that sheet and whatever is horrible. That symbolism is pain and suffering and death and racism and horribleness. But here's beauty and love and graciousness and divineness. And so there's as above, so below, and everything there's good and bad. And when we get past the duality of that, then all the shadows will go away and we'll have peace and love. Yeah?
Yeah. So Eduardo's saying conspiracy theorist is a truth seeker. Yeah. The thing that really what Laura is saying that's so powerful is if you look at really powerful words and you look them up on Google, you're going to have a rock star singing the lyrics, which are totally off center about that concept, or they're going to have a Disney film on it. Or so, for example, if you did look up Stargate, you're going to have a TV show about Stargates, right? You're not going to find what a Stargate's all about. You're going to have a way of conscripting the energy of the concept in a TV, a movie, a song, or whatever of a concept that has so much power and intention in it that it gets corrupted. And that's really what has happened with those that want to dominate. They've taken concepts and flipped them over on their head,
Yep.
so that you get the energy misaligned when you use the concept.
Yes, just like our music, right? Just like how they're using different frequencies in our home. We could all be harmonized in our home, but they've made our electrical system in our house bad for us instead of good. It's just those kind of things that just don't make sense to me. Hello, a Facebook user says, hello, has your life changed since you learned how to remove entities from yourself and doing it for people? Is there any dangers with regards to learning to do it?
Yeah, there's dangers if you don't do it.
And there's yes. But you want to learn how to do it correctly though too, right?
Yeah, but if you don't do it, you're subject to having an open pass to your own body, where anybody and everybody can inhabit it whenever they want. And I don't know about you, but in my life, I'm not allowing any piggybackers in my energy field. This is my life. This is my incarnation. I had to go through many, many, lifetimes to be here at this amazing time on this planet. I don't need somebody in my energy field telling me what I need to do or not to do. I have enough trouble with my ego and my mind telling me what I think I should do or not do, and getting into behavior itself. I don't need any other Tom, Dick, and Harry from any other ET civilization, discarnate being, or whatever, whispering in my ear that I didn't get it right. Look, if you want to inhabit a body, it's not my body. If you want a body, then go stand in line. Getting a body and incarnating is a privilege. It's something that you earn. Spiritually, you earn it. So, look, you're not allowed in my body. If you want a body, pass over to the other side, stay in line to get a body, and then go through the dirty diapers and then show up with me, knock on my door, and we'll have a conversation. Until then, go get a body. Don't use my body. So that's how I feel about that. So has your life changed since you learned how to remove entities? You're darn right it has. And has it happened for other people? Yeah, I just clear them out. I do it with love and compassion because I know that many of them are scared. They're caught in the trauma of, oh my God, I've been bad, rotten, and wrong in this lifetime. And if I go to the life, they're going to put me in hell. I'm going to burn in hellfire and damnation. So it's better to hang out here. And some of them want to resolve the dilemma that they couldn't finish at this plane. So they're here trying to figure it out and solve it. But if you can do it with compassion, where you have the angelic kingdom come and meet them, that's going to take them to the other side and going to help them move through their trauma so that they get ready for their next incarnation. And it's a gift that you're providing for them that's beyond all understanding, right?
Absolutely.
So in regards to learning to do this, yeah, I would say that if you're doing it for an ego purpose, or you're doing it like somebody phoned me and said, oh, well, I was working with a priest and he did an exorcism of possession, but it didn't work. I said, well, just out of curiosity, how much did he charge? $13,000, right? Not $1,300, $13,000. Look, there's.
And it didn't work.
And it didn't work. So what I'm saying to you is be really careful in this area. A lot of people, when they do come to me for help, they don't have any money because they've gone to people and said, oh, yeah, I can do this. I want you to repeat this after me, or do this. If anybody says they have a silver bullet to make this all right for you, that they're just going to shoot that entity dead, and that's done and over with, if they say that you can do an incantation and clear you up, I want you to run. I want you to, and phone me. I'll take less money, but we'll get the job done. Why? Because I'm going to teach you, and Laura's going to teach you how to take your power back, and you're going to do it for yourself. So I don't believe anybody can do this for you. That's my personal belief.
Tyson doesn't do it. I don't do it. You do it, and you take your sovereign human being right. And I have so many amazing testimonials from people that will say that what has happened in their own life by doing the deep cleaning protocol, by clearing out all of these things, by unplugging from things that you don't even know are plugged into you, because we aren't all aware as Tyson and I are. I mean, it happened to me. Tyson, it had to have happened to you in order for you to even create this. And so when you're unplugged and you start understanding that you have all of this power of yourself to heal yourself and all this sovereign thing, you can think for yourself and you get messages clearly, then you can make your decisions for you that best meet for you and your family and continue to heal and move forward. Otherwise, you're just stuck in the matrix. And the matrix.
Other aspect of it is you're on a spiritual path and you're growing spiritually and you're doing, and you're in a group where there's actually initiations that you're going through. At a certain point, you're going to be tested, just like Christ was tested in the wilderness. And you need to be able to stand up for yourself. You need to be able to declare that you're a sovereign human being. You have to confront the demons, or however you want to describe them, that are going to show up and test you. Mm-hmm. That's the way you graduate yourself. So it's not a free pass. You don't get a free pass. You have to stand up for yourself. And it can feel like, and it can be a near-death experience. Okay? That's how serious it can get. So if you're on a spiritual path and you think you're just doing really well and you're evolving and everything, I can assure you at some point you're going to be tested. And that's the time in which you make a decision whether you're going to be a sovereign human being. And most of it is surrendering to the divine or not. And right. That's your test, right?
Right. Well, we have 2 minutes left on the show.
All right.
I apologize for the technical difficulties that we had. Our producer, Michael, did a really good job pulling us back onto Facebook. And this will be live by 11 a.m. Mountain Time on YouTube, where you can rewatch it in its full entirety, as Michael has said. So thank you for being patient with us. We can't help what Zoom and Facebook and YouTube do when we're all connected.
So tomorrow we're talking about divine marriage again.
We are.
Yeah. And don't forget to sign up for Universal Abundance with Divine Mother. It's a 2-hour course. We're going to be finding Divine Mother energies and helping you get out of your own way and raise your set point for bringing abundance and ease and grace into your life. So if you want to join it, the class is always free, but if you want the recordings, you need to pay $33 US. Okay, it's going to be well worth it. 2 hours of being with Divine Mother and being able to play that through again. I mean, Laura, you've always loved that, right?
I love Divine Mother energies. I can't explain it. It's changed my life. So beautiful and calming. And then to get out of your own way to create abundance and be able to manifest things for your life. Come on, people. This is what everybody wants. This is what we're all looking for. The secret uncovered, because the secret was all about materialism, things like getting more TVs or getting a parking space, blah, blah, blah. We tell you how to manifest your life and bring abundance into your life, which means love in relationships, career. It means being able to create abundance for your family, of being able to, go on vacation when you want to, create the career that you want to. I work from home. I've created, my life is wonderful and beautiful because I manifested it for myself and I created it for myself. So this is why Tyson and I are coming together on Friday for this amazing 2-hour show class. Please join us. It's $33 to join.
Yeah, US. And let's call it a wrap. We're 2 minutes over. So join us same time, same place tomorrow, 8 a.m. Pacific, and get your questions answered on dowsing and energy healing. Until tomorrow, be well, be safe out there, and decide whether you really want to wear a mask or not. Bye for now.
Bye.
For quality online wellness products, courses, and services, visit our sponsors, thewellnessstore.ca and the Extraordinary Healing Arts Academy located at thewellnessacademy.ca. To stay in touch, visit us at thewellnessshow.ca. And until next time, be healthy, wealthy, and wise.